Well, good evening, everyone. I am Ron Height, and I'm president of the ETSU National Alumni Association. And I'm pleased to welcome you to the 2012 East Tennessee State University National Alumni Association Annual Awards Banquet and Annual Meeting. As you will notice, I called our meeting to order with this bell here. It's the newly created replica of the ETSU Foundation Carillon and Alumni Bell. And I've been watching Bob Plummer and his group as they worked to get this thing through the various stages over the past several months, and this is a beautiful creation. And it was done by Travis Graves. He's an associate professor of art here at ETSU, and he created this beautiful piece. This design references the actual foundation carillon that you see out on campus and incorporates joinery details that mimic the brick used predominantly throughout the ETSU campus. The structure has been built using red oak and maple. And Travis, I know what red oak is. There's a lot of that in this area because I built one of my barns with it. And maple is also very common to our area. Travis estimates that he spent about 250 hours in constructing this replica. And Travis and his wife Ann are with us tonight. And please, Travis and Ann, could you stand up and let's give you all a big round of applause for thank you. Where are you there? Here we go, right here. Thank you. Great job. The gathering of alumni on the evening before spring commencement dates back to a candlelight ceremony to welcome the class of 1929 diplomats or graduates. The ETSU National Alumni Association was established in 1915 and is the university's longest operating organization of graduates and former students. We welcome each and every one of you tonight and appreciate you making a point to show your ETSU pride by supporting this event with your fellow alumni and special friends. We would also like to honor and to recognize the 1,620 students that have earned diplomas for presentation this weekend. Isn't that amazing? 1,620. So Dr. Nolan, Dr. Bach, Dr. Manahan, congratulations. I hope your hand is in great shape because you're going to have a busy day tomorrow with that hand. We celebrate completion of the academic journey of these 1,620 students. Wonderful. We wish them all well. Tonight, 12 noteworthy individuals will be recognized for being an example of the finest of all attributes. Their success is evident in their professional achievements, as well as in the differences they have made through their personal commitments, especially some of the personal commitments to this university. These notable alumni and friends have supported our university, established records of distinction, and engaged in their communities. This important weekend also marks the end of the academic year. We celebrate the graduation of the class of 2012 and the anniversaries of the graduation for the classes of 1962 and 1967. And I'm proud to say that I have a great friend. I have a lot of friends in class of 62, but one of my great friends is up from Nashville, Tennessee, retired Lieutenant General Hugh Smith. So Hugh, welcome back to university. And now that you're retired and you have a lot of money, you can still start sending more money up here. We are pleased that several members of these classes are returning to their alma mater this weekend and have chosen to join us this evening for this celebration. I would like now to ask Ikra Ahmad, the newly elected Student Government Association President, to offer our invocation. After the invocation, Bob Plummer, the Executive Director of our National Alumni Association, will have some other announcements before we start eating. So, Ikra.
Thank you. As we gather together today in honor and celebration of all members of the ETSU family, let us join in giving thanks for everything that makes ETSU the gift that it is in so many lives. For all the members of the ETSU National Alumni Association who so consistently and graciously offer their support and help to keep the spirit of ETSU alive. For all those students who are graduating this weekend, who are soon to be alumni, may God bless them in all their future endeavors, and may they carry with them warm ETSU memories wherever their lives may lead them. May God's grace and protection continue to guide ETSU in contributing to the betterment of our region, our nation, and our world. Amen.
Thank you. Ikra is a biology and international affairs major from here in Johnson City. So after that, Bob, would you come up and get us started?
Good evening. Thank you, General Haidt, for getting our program underway. And thank you again, Ikra, for giving the invocation. As you were gathering this evening, you noticed the sounds of some beautiful piano music from over here in the front. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Sharon Nelson Rush. Dr. Rush has earned 3 degrees from ETSU, having received a bachelor's of music education in 1982, a Master of Arts in Teaching in 1983, and a Doctorate of Education in 1992. Currently, she is the choir director of Jonesboro United Methodist Church, a music instructor with Cates Music Center, and director of the Music Academy of Jonesboro. She is assisted by Ms. Beverly Ferguson, a 1993 ETSU alumna and a local piano teacher. If you would, let's please give them a round of applause. At this time, I'd encourage you to relax and enjoy the company of those friends and family gathered with us tonight, and enjoy the wonderful meal prepared by Executive Chef Jean-Claude Saruga and the entire Millennium Center staff. We thank them for their efforts today in hosting our several events with us. And enjoy your meal. Thank you.
If there's any cake left over, take it to table 1. We're going to move ahead with our program, and if you haven't finished eating, please continue your meal. Tonight, with great ETSU pride, we gather at this very special time to pay tribute to successful lives, reflect on hard work and accomplishments. I ask you now that you join me in recognizing those alumni who are celebrating their graduation anniversaries and who have carried the ETSU name with them throughout their careers to destinations throughout the world. We have with us reunion groups who are celebrating their 45th and 50th class reunions. Today, these groups have had the opportunity to tour the campus and renew long-standing relationships with their classmates. We're going to recognize members of those groups for their ties to the place where they started their pursuit of their degrees. Celebrating their 45th class reunion are members of the class of 1967. We also like to give special recognition to the class of 1962, celebrating their 50th, their golden anniversary reunion. These alumni were inducted into the Golden 50s Club today and will lead the members of the class of 2012 for their presentation of diplomas in the morning. One other group with us tonight is the Golden 50s Club, those alumni who graduated in 1961 or before. And at this time, I would like to ask all of the alumni from these groups to please stand, and we can offer our thanks and applause. Please stand. Thank all of you for returning back home. Now I'm very pleased to introduce the individual who is bringing new leadership, vision, and direction to our beloved university. An individual who, as we say in the Army, didn't hit the ground running, he hit the ground double time. He skipped the quick time portion that we normally go through. And before coming up, Dr. Nolan, for your remarks, what I would ask you and your lovely wife, Donna, please stand, and let's give them a round of applause for the way they've come into this university and moved out. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the 9th president of East Tennessee State University, Dr. Brian Nolan.
Thank you all and good evening. It's my pleasure to be with you tonight, and I want to apologize on the front end. For some of you, this may be the third or fourth time that you've had the misfortune of hearing me speak today. It is a busy day on campus. It is a busy weekend on campus. But it's the time when we as a university and we as a community celebrate why we're all here, and that's the accomplishments of our students. And we see those accomplishments here in the room because our students are returning to us 45 and 50 years later and reliving the power and the beauty of what happened for them 45 and 50 years ago, and that's the receipt of a college degree. Tomorrow's going to be a beautiful day on campus, largest graduating class in the history of the university. 1,710 students will walk across the stage and receive their degree, many the first in their family. And that's what makes this such a special place, the ability to open doors of opportunity. Last time I was in here, I did it without a mic, so we'll see if I can do it again. But good evening. It's my pleasure to be with you tonight. Gotta love mics. Tonight we remember the past, we celebrate the present, and we dream collective of a new vision for ETSU. Reminders are all around us of our alumni and civic leaders, and they're evident across campus today, tomorrow, and in the days to come. As we see the contributions, we see places such as Carter Hall, the foundation of our institution provided through the generosity of civic partners. Mr. Carter's vision for the region and the role of higher education to transform communities runs through the heart of this institution, and it strikes at the core of our historic mission to serve the needs of Appalachia. This evening, we honor the notable heroes of our history and their commitments of time and service to ETSU. Tonight, we pay homage to individuals such as our first president, Sidney Gilbreth, under whose leadership we witnessed the growth of the institution, the advent of intercollegiate athletics, and a focus on providing a moral compass for our students. We also honor leaders such as D.P. Culp, and Mrs. Culp, we're honored to have you with us tonight, for whom buildings across campus are named and for whom we owe our medical school. And we honor Dr. Roy Nix, who built the shared library and affirmed a culture in which students are at the center of everything we do. We also honor our past president, Dr. Paul Stanton. Dr. Stanton is an amazing individual, a consummate gentleman, a true friend, and someone who gave everything he had to ETSU. I'm honored to follow in his footsteps. I'm honored to call him a mentor, and I look forward to working with Dr. Stanton in the months and years to come as we continue to keep the engine moving down the tracks. But in my conversations with alumni and friends, I'm reminded on a daily basis of the contributions of public leaders, our faculty, our staff, and our students, who are the engine that transform this region. I share their passion, and Donna and I are humbled by the opportunity to serve you and to serve this great institution. I want to thank Donna for bringing us home to Tennessee. I want to thank you for the sacrifices that you're making, but I also want everyone to know how wonderful of a team that we make, and it's because of my wife, Donna. Donna, I want to thank you very much. I encourage you in the days ahead to look around you and to gain a deeper appreciation of the greatness of this institution. We can point to the accomplishments of our faculty and staff, our alumni, and our friends in the community whose philanthropic gifts have transformed our institution. Your generosity signifies the commitment of leaders across the region to our future. Countless lives have been touched, and all parts of the institution have been strengthened through your acts of grace. Your contribution of time, talents, and resources make this a better place. Over the course of the spring semester, I've been humbled by the opportunity to talk and meet with students. And I take great pride in them, and I take great pride in the investments that our faculty and staff make in our students. However, I've been struck by the fact that we often take ETSU for granted. We take for granted the role and impact that we have in the community. I hope that in the years to come, we can change the conversation, for we've come a long way from our roots as a normal school, and we have much to be proud of. In fact, according to a recent study by the Bureau of Business and Economic Research, we contribute more than $68 million to the local economy and are responsible for the creation of 5,200 jobs here at ETSU. We're the engine that drives the economy and cultural creativity. Across the institution, there's a strong desire, somewhat bordering on impatience, for educational excellence that drives us forward. It is from this solid foundation, a foundation created on the shoulder of giants, many of whom are in the room tonight, that we will build. In the next few months, we will continue our conversations of dreaming a new future for ETSU. These conversations embody not only hope for the institution, but hope for the community. There are no bounds on our potential. Our dedication to the region establishes a promise of hope, of aspiration, and of a commitment to ensure that the generations to come will have a better future. Through the pursuit of the life of the mind, we will create a community with greater meaning, purpose, prosperity, knowledge, and self-worth. Such a future is born of the collective vision emerging from the roots of ETSU. By working together, we can overcome any obstacle, and we've proved that as a community. When state and national forces conspired against us, we came together, we took our independent nature as a region, and we created a College of Medicine. Again, a decade and a half later, we came together as a community, independently, and created a College of Pharmacy. That independent nature to succeed, that independent willpower is what will allow us within the next 3 to 5 to 7 years to build a new center for the fine and performing arts, to transform the heart of campus to green space, to re-engineer the amphitheater, and to hopefully, in the very near future, build a new facility, a convocation center for our students, so that unlike tomorrow, we're going to have 2 commencement ceremonies, and sorry, Dr. Rode, you've got to give the same speech twice, we can do it in one ceremony. But that passion, that independence, that will to succeed is what drives us. And that passion and that independence will allow us to achieve dreams that at this point may be impossible. Beginning this summer, we will examine issues related to the structure, relationships, and affiliations across the institution, ranging from our athletic infrastructure to the infrastructure of the foundation and the Alumni Association to every facet of campus, a top-to-bottom review, focused on one goal: how can we create a better future for ETSU, and how can we deepen the level of engagement, not only across the campus, but across the region. Our students have unbridled dreams for their future, but will not be able to realize those dreams without your help. Presently, we rank 730th in the nation for alumni giving, as less than 10% of our alumni have contributed to ETSU. Imagine the pace of change on campus if we could reach the level of MTSU, which is ranked 43rd, where 64% of the alumni are actively engaged in contributing to the Big Blue. If we're going to achieve the goals and the dreams that we all share for ETSU, we must be willing to test and stretch ourselves. We may not reach all the rings, but we cannot be complacent. There's no upward limit on the power of higher education. Because what's at stake isn't our future. What's at stake is our children's future. We're in an international race, a knowledge economy, a race in which our ability to create a better future for our children is predicated on intellectual horsepower. Our ability to transform the economy, our ability to open doors of opportunity is based upon ensuring that more students who begin their education at this institution graduate from this institution. The roots of success are here. They're evident across the room. But it's my goal, and I hope it's your collective goal, that as we look forward at our 125th anniversary, that we're seeing an institution with an enrollment of more than 20,000 students, but an institution who graduates 60% of those students, and an institution dedicated to transforming the region. Because think about the power that this institution had on you. Many of you are the first in your family to attend college. For our alumni who are back for their 45th and 50th anniversary, Think of how your lives and your children's lives and your grandchildren's lives have been changed by ETSU. Think of how their future will be impacted by ETSU. And as I look at the region, far too few of our students go to college, far too few of our students graduate from college, and far too few of our students have the ability to realize the American dream that 1,700 students will realize tomorrow. I look forward to changing these numbers. I look forward to working with you to make a difference. This is an amazing institution. This is the best kept secret in all of American higher education. Don and I are humbled and honored to be here. We thank you for what you do, and we look forward to all that you can do for ETSU. Thank you and Godspeed.
Dr. Nolan, thank you for those very insightful remarks, and we look forward to sharing your goals, your vision with you as we move forward to 2025. The National Alumni Association would like to offer appreciation to two members of our board of directors whose terms are expiring this year. So Dalton Collins and Zach Walden, if y'all could come forward, please. There we go. To both of you, we appreciate your service to our Alumni Association organization in these valuable leadership roles and providing our voice for our alumni and residents, the current students of ETSU. We would like to present these plaques as a token of our gratitude. And these individuals have been very supportive in coming to our board meetings, giving us the view from the boots on the ground type perspective. We really appreciate what you're doing, and good luck to both of you as you move ahead. Now, if I could ask that all the members of the Alumni Association Board that are in attendance tonight, please stand. Let's give them a big round of applause. You'll see their pictures and information about them in our dinner program, and we really appreciate your service. Now I would ask Dr. Manahan, the Vice President of University Advancement and President and CEO of our foundation, to come to the podium to begin our introductions of the Honorary Alumni Award recipients. Dr. Nolan and Mr. Gary Poe, Chair of the Honors Awards and Nominations Committee and Vice President of the National Alumni Association, will join me on stage for these presentations. I know Gary's been working this hard the last couple of years, and it's a very, very challenging job to go through the award packages and make the kind of recommendations that they made. And if you look at your program tonight and see as we commence through the awards, what a great job this committee has done this year. So, Gary, thank you so much for what you've done with all of this.
Following honorees have brought distinction to the university through their inspirational deeds, financial support, shared skills, knowledge, personal time, and energy. It is a pleasure to recognize each of them. The history of the first honorary alumnus' dedication to serving students as they pursue their educational goals is evident from his many accomplishments as an educator. His career in education began in Michigan, where he earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree from Hillsdale College. He then served in the United States Army Air Corps from 1943 to 1946. He later earned a master's degree in social studies, history, geography, economics, political science, and sociology. Then he received a second master's degree in business management and finance, followed by a doctorate in social studies education. His first teaching job was as a substitute teacher in the Detroit Public Schools. He brought his talent to East Tennessee State University in 1966 to be an associate professor of business administration. Along with his extensive career successes, he was also a member of numerous professional organizations and active in his community. As a result, he has received several awards during his career, including being named an ETSU Distinguished Faculty Member, given the ETSU College of Business Faculty Excellence for Service Award, and named Kiwanian of the Year by the Metropolitan Kiwanian Club of Johnson City. It is a pleasure to present honorary alumnus, Dr. William J. Fisher. Bill.
Thank you. I was quite surprised by this honor. I don't know that I can say much about it from the standpoint of my experience, but my colleagues have been supportive, and I have tried to be supportive of my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Our next honorary award recipients come as a pair. She was born in Burnside Township, Michigan, on their Centennial family farm. She was an honor student in high school and graduated from Asbury College, now Asbury University, in 1968, receiving a degree in Christian education. Following graduation, she served as director of the Christian education at Trinity United Methodist Church in Lima, Ohio. Moving back to Michigan, she was employed by the Consumer Power Company and was also first woman in management working in the customer service department. She was also honored with a Businesswoman Award in 1970, worked as a volunteer supervisor for the Junior Achievement, and represented Consumer Power Company on the Michigan Safety Council Board as secretary, the first woman to begin going through the chairs of office to become president. In 1974, she married, and 3 years later, the couple moved to Johnson City to start a new business, Keller Glass Company. She worked with her husband in starting the business and continued to sit on the board of directors today, serving as secretary-treasurer. Meanwhile, our next honorary alumnus grew up in a proud Tennessean with northern ties and a liberal education. His parents were both from Tennessee. His father was a steel specialist and worked on projects in Detroit and Tennessee. From his mother's side, Keller is a descendant of the original state of Franklin families who were in our present-day region prior to Tennessee's statehood. In 1963, he had the opportunity to buy a one-third interest in the glass company in Detroit. And he was able to purchase the other two-thirds interest at a later date. In June of 1977, the couple relocated to Johnson City and incorporated the Keller Glass Company, commencing operations from temporary quarters in Young's Tobacco Warehouse. He designed and built the current 16-foot office and warehouse, which currently houses their glass company. When he started thinking about retirement, he encouraged 4 key employees to become the new owners, and they are doing a remarkable job. ETSU continues to be a very important part of both the couple's lives as they serve members of the ETSU Foundation and support the Roan Scholars Leadership Program. They are also members of the ETSU Legacy Circle and the President's Trust Silver Society. It is my pleasure to present Mrs. Linda J. Keller and Mr. Travis A. Keller. Travis and Linda.
Get up my notes here. When we received the phone call from Dr. Manahan informing us of this wonderful and great honor we were going to receive, we were overwhelmed. And as we stand here tonight, we're still overwhelmed. East Tennessee State University has been a very special part of our lives from the time we moved to Johnson City. And now to be named an honorary alumni is not only an honor, but it's a privilege, and to be recognized as part of such a great university and its community. Thank you so very much. And in closing, I want to share a little bit of trivia about myself. I want you to know that orange is not my favorite color. It's blue and gold.
I'm going to have to try this. It sounds like I can do it. President Nolan, Dr. Manahan, alumni of ETSU, greetings. Being elected an honorary alum of ETSU is a very high honor indeed. Thank you for your kindness and for your consideration. Thank you.
Our next honorary alumnus is a stranger to almost no one in this room. A Clarksville native, he grew up an avid basketball player and attained the level of Distinguished Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts of America. He earned a degree in biology with a minor in chemistry from Austin Peay State University. In 1970, he received his medical degree from the University of Tennessee. Upon graduation from the medical school, he served in the United States Army Medical Corps in South Korea. He was discharged as a major in 1974. After completing his military service, he practiced as a board-certified OB/GYN for 31 years, delivering over 5,000 babies. During much of his time in medical practice, he also taught at East Tennessee State University's Quillen College of Medicine. In 2003, he successfully ran for the Johnson City Commission. In 2005, he was elected as vice mayor for a 2-year term. Then in 2007, he became mayor. First elected to the United States House of Representatives in 2008. In his second and current terms, he chairs the Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Subcommittees, and also serves on the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Please join me in welcoming the 2012 honorary alumnus, the Honorable Dr. Phil Rowe. Phil.
First of all, I want to thank you, General, for your service to our country, and Dr. Fisher and the veterans in this room that have served. I was told by my high school guidance counselor that I shouldn't go to college. I should take up a trade, which I did, doctorate. So it worked out pretty well. I want to thank you all for inviting me here tonight, because Congress only has a 10% approval rating, and I have to call to come home anymore. So, and Muammar Gaddafi had a 14% approval. They killed him. So I'm glad to be here. I want to thank some friends that are here. And what an honor for me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this for my family. To be an alumnus. I would not be in Johnson City, Tennessee, if it had not been for East Tennessee State University. When I looked for practice, I wanted to look at a community that had a college. And not only did this university have a college, it was developing a medical school, and no pun intended, but I got to be here for the birthing of a medical school. And to see this school now as one of the top-rated primary care schools in the nation, I tell everybody I can in Washington, D.C., what an incredible community this is. And Dick, thank you for leaving out the 2006 election that I lost. So I appreciate you doing that. I thought you did. Well, Gerald said you weren't a dummy, that's for sure. I want to thank just some friends here that have come. I would not be here without many of you in this room, and many close friends that came here tonight. I wouldn't be a congressman without their help. I love the Buccaneers. I love our Board of Regents colleges. What an incredible community this is. And again, thank you very much. And I want to thank the other honorees. What a privilege it is to have your name associated with the other great people that I know over 35 years I've been here in this community, to see what you've done for our region and how you have made it one of the best places to live in America. I sincerely mean that. At the end of the day, though, I would like to be remembered as Catherine and Caroline Rowe's grandfather. And any of you who are bored tomorrow night, they're going to be over for Alvin and the Chipmunks, so you're welcome to come by. Thank you once again for this great honor. Brian, I expect great things, and I know we will. You all have selected a tremendous president to lead this university. Thank you.
The ETSU National Alumni Association bestows the George L. Carter Award only when recipients are found whose works are great enough to match the example of George L. Carter. Carter led the charge to establish the normal school and generously donated the land to build the university. The George L. Carter Award is one of the highest honors given by the National Alumni Association. We are presenting the Carter Award to a longtime friend of the university. His love of flying began at an early age. In fact, he took up his first solo flight at 16th birthday. In 1968, he moved to Greenville, Tennessee as a pilot for the president of Magnavox Company. In 1973, he started General Aviation, a cargo airline. After selling General Aviation, he became the senior vice president of North America for Flying Tigers Lines, an international cargo airline. In 1981, he co-founded a second transportation company, Land Air Transport, with an initial investment of $2,000. Later, the company expanded into an air fleet with the formation of Forward Air Corporation. Those companies today have a market value of over $1.2 billion. Some of the activities he is currently involved in include serving as president of the Niswonger Foundation, trustee at Tusculum College, president of the governing board for the Niswonger Performing Arts, and an honorary alumnus of ETSU, as well as a member of the East Tennessee State University Foundation. The ETSU Digital Media Center also bears his name. He is the lead benefactor for the new Niswonger's Children's Hospital built in the Johnson City Medical Center, and is especially proud of the Niswonger Foundation that he established in 2001 to create opportunities for individuals and regional growth through educational programs, scholarships, and other charitable activities. Scott Neiswanger has done more for education in this region that I know of than any one individual I know. It is my privilege to bestow the George L. Carter Award to Mr. Scott M. Neiswanger. Scott.
Well, I'll promise you one thing. My remarks will not be as long as my introduction. I'll save you that. Gosh, what an honor. And the honor really has been mine to work alongside the wonderful faculty and staff at this university. It's just been an amazing experience. And when I first thought about this evening, I stopped and thought, well, we're all so busy going to the next meeting, the next project, whatever we're doing in our busy lives, that sometimes we just don't take the time to stop and think about what has been accomplished. And I went back to when I arrived in East Tennessee in the mid-'60s, and I looked back on the university and where it was at that time. And we'd just broken ground. These are projects that I was fortunate enough to be involved in. We'd just broken ground on a science building for $3.5 million. Today, the environmental impact study would cost $3.5 million. What a value. Oh, the College of Medicine came next. And one of the unexpected results of looking back was college celebrated its 100th year last year, and I've been around about half the history of this university. As I thought about that, I told Nikki I think we ought to go home a little early tonight. I didn't realize I'd been around that long. A couple of the programs that I've been associated with that take special pride in, that are really risen to the level of preeminence, and that's Dr. Wyckoff's public health and then our rural health program as well. We had visitors from Harvard University in the past couple of weeks who looked at our public health program and told us that we are far ahead of where they are at Harvard in their study of public health. Imagine that. From a sleepy little university of less than 8,000 students, over 75% of those students being from here in the mid-1960s, to Harvard coming to visit us to see how we're doing things. And then Dr. Nolan and I had an opportunity to see, and I have a little prejudice here for the Digital Media Center. We had an opportunity to see that, and we have people coming to visit from all over. It, too, is world class. We all can take a lot of money and put it toward these projects, but again, to quote George Carter, who was a railroad guy, who gave us the land to build this university, as he might have said, without the staff and the dedication of the faculty, we'd have never left the station. Thank you for this award.
At this time, Mrs. Paula Douglas, a member of the ETSU National Alumni Association, will introduce our distinguished alumnus in the arts inductee. Paula.
The Distinguished Alumni Award is presented to graduates who have brought honor and distinction to the university through their service and achievements in the arts. Tonight, we are honoring an alumnus who has found a way to use his talent to make money for his family, make money to worthwhile organizations, travel abroad, receive recognition throughout the United States, and even be recognized by the Queen of England. A native of East Tennessee, he received both his undergraduate degree and master's degree in studio art and graphic design from ETSU. He is both a working artist and head of the secondary school studio arts program at Providence Academy, a private Christian high school in Johnson City. He has created artwork of the National Storytelling Festival in Jonesboro for over 23 years, has illustrated numerous children's books, has been directly involved with regional United Way organizations to raise additional annual funds through the reproduction of his artwork for 15 years, as well as the Washington County and Sullivan County CASA organizations. Most recently, he created an original oil painting of ETSU in honor of the centennial celebration. And if you would like to get a jump start on your holiday shopping, this distinguished alumnus was chosen by Governor Bill Haslam to create the official 2012 Tennessee Christmas ornament. Please join me in welcoming the 2012 Distinguished Alumnus in the Arts, Mr. William Baxter Bledsoe.
Well, I had a prepared speech, but when I reproduced it on my computer, it made it microscopic, so I'm going to have to wing it. I'm going to take an opportunity real quick to recognize some people here who mean a lot to me. First of all, Mr. and Mrs. Garland Thayer, would you please stand? Mr. Thayer was the headmaster at Washington College Academy where I went to high school. And he and his family, they were a pillar of support for me. And Mr. Thayer challenged me at a very young age to be a godly man, and to him I appreciate that. Mr. Willie Church, would you please stand? Mr. Church was the principal at the school where I teach, Providence Academy, and he has been a mentor to me and an incredible support, and he has taught me in a large way how to be a good teacher. And I appreciate him being here. And Mr. David Dixon and Miss Anita DeAngelis, would you please stand? These two individuals represent the many faculty at ETSU in the art department, of which I have a great affection for, and they are here both on behalf of themselves and behalf of the teachers who could not be here. Thank you for coming. And not the most important person, Jennifer, my wife, will you please stand? Jennifer and I met at ETSU 20 years ago. We had our first kiss on the steps of Carson, the math building, which is now sacred ground. And it's tough to be an artist, but she has stood by me through thick and thin, even at times when I didn't want to stand by myself. So thank you, honey. Just real quick, I want to say that there's so many things I can say about ETSU, and specifically about the art department. But the one lasting impression that department and the university has had on me is that I was taught that talent is in and of itself exclusive, but the use of that talent is inclusive. That I was to use it to help enrich other people's lives, to help motivate, to give to my community. And that was such a huge impression upon me and what I was going to do with my life when I finally graduated from ETSU. And for that, I'm most gracious. And I have to say that when I think of the university, I think of it as a mark of where I was as a man, what I am as a man, and what I could be. And I'm just so honored to have this award, to be part of this, and with all these other distinguished individuals. And I thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
I would now like to call Mr. Lawrence Counts, Secretary of the ETSU National Alumni Association, to the podium to present the awards of honor to our worthy recipients.
Our first Award of Honor recipient grew up in a sports-minded family. He was the son of a former New York Yankees pitcher and grew up at Wake Forest, playing on the local golf course. This is where his competitive nature began. His training and hard work paid off when he earned a scholarship to play golf at East Tennessee State University, where he was ranked as high as 12th in the nation. After graduating, he moved back to the Wake Forest area and played golf professionally for 2 years. Since then, he has been involved with the packaging industry for over 28 years and has been regional sales manager for the Bristol-based Triad Packaging for the past 11 years. He has served his community in many ways. He has been a volunteer coach for many surrounding youth programs, is an active member at St. John's Episcopal Church, and currently serves as a tournament chairman of the Bank of Tennessee Intercollegiate Golf Tournament at the Blackthorn Golf and Country Club. He continues to enjoy ETSU athletics and has been a member of the Buccaneer Athletic Scholarship Association for over 25 years. His wife, Betsy, also an ETSU alumna, currently sits on the BOSSA board. All 4 of the couple's children have played sports at ETSU while earning their ETSU degrees. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Charles P. Byrne, our first Award of Honor recipient.
Gotta have these glasses now. Thank you. Recently, someone asked me about receiving this award and what did I think of it. And of course, I said I was very honored and proud. I said, but at the Byrne House, most of the time it's a team effort. I met my wife, Betsy, here at ETSU. We both graduated in 1981. We were married 30 years this January. Thank you. Honestly, that was a tough part of this, really, for me. 35 years ago, I left a little town of Wake Forest, North Carolina, to come play golf here at East Tennessee State. My parents were most proud and happy for me. Both parents set me down at the kitchen table, and they asked me to do one thing. They said, when you go there, you need to embrace the university. And I'm not sure which definition of embrace I was really thinking about then. I was coming to play golf, but they did say that. My mother was real quick to point out that they were beginning a medical school there in 1977, and I ought to be looking into that. And my father looked at me and he said, Charles, you know, everybody doesn't turn out to be Arnold Palmer. Didn't quite make that, but I must admit the first couple of years at ETSU, the faculty and the staff were doing all the embracing. I was chasing a golf ball and enjoying life, I think. However,
with that being said, I need to call a couple people's names out here. He was a great athlete and a great ambassador to the university, the late Coach Hal Morrison. Also, the Dean of the Physical Education Department for many years here, Dr. Judith Johnston. She was affectionately known as Dr. J. She really gave really hard tests. Interesting times. I had a kinesiology class under her, and if I made a C in it, it was a miracle. I mean, it was really a miracle. I mean, I thought I was headed to the medical school or something, you know? And to continue that, over the next 25 years, every time I would see her, she would ask how I was doing. And then she was asking about me and Betsy. And then after about 25 years, she quit asking about me, and she started asking about our children. And I went home one night after a basketball game, and I said, Betsy, Dr. Johnson didn't even ask anything about me or you tonight. She was asking about all the kids. And I think in her eyes, I had finally passed a test. I think I'd passed the ETSU test of life. On the career side of things, most of you know I've been in the packaging business, selling old paper boxes for a long time. It's really fun. My first order I ever received came from the late Ron Schrum. He was a vice president, general manager of a forging company called Modern Forge in Piney Flats, Tennessee. He was a very avid supporter of ETSU golf. He was also a member of the Pirate Club, which is now the BASA organization. So again, I was embraced by ETSU. As I wrap up, I hope everyone here has a similar story on how embracing ETSU has been a positive influence. I guess I better thank my children because they've all started embracing it one way or the other at this point. Earlier I mentioned my mother talking about a medical school that was starting here. My son Rhett, a few years ago, for some reason, he went his first 4 years to another university, the Orange one. And I mentioned to him, I said, Rhett, you know, they're starting a pharmacy school, ETSU. He's now in his second year. So there might be a Dr. Byrne also. No pressure, Rhett. You know. To conclude, ETSU is growing in so many great ways. Our new president, Dr. Nolan, is going to need our help. Tonight, I know I'm speaking to the choir, but however, if you embrace ETSU, it can really be life-changing. Go Bucks.
The next award of honor goes to a man that grew up in Florida, but because of one conversation with his high school English teacher, who was an ETSU graduate, that led him to a lifetime commitment to ETSU and the Johnson City area. Upon graduation, he spent the years from 1972 to 1985 employed by Burlington Industries. In 1985, he was hired as plant controller of the Piney Flats plant of Microporous Products Incorporated. By 1989, he and his partners bought the local plant and helped the company grow from a small supplier of battery separators to a major multi-million-dollar company. During his tenure at Microporous, he was instrumental in the creation of numerous scholarships funded by the company for ETSU students. He joined with a group of area businessmen in 1996 to create State of Franklin Savings Bank and continues to serve the bank as a member of their community board of directors. A supporter of ETSU, he is a member of the ETSU Foundation, past president of the ETSU Buccaneer Athletic Scholarship Association, when it was known as the Pirate Club, and past president of the University School Foundation and PTA. In October of 2011, ETSU's College of Business and Technology awarded him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Stephen Gross.
I'd like to take a moment to thank the university and also the nominating committee for this recognition for myself and for the other recipients this evening. I appreciate it very much. I would not be standing here tonight were it not for the support of my wife, Novice, and my family. Every major decision that I've made has fallen under the watchful scrutiny of her advice and counsel. Additionally, I think you've already read, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for ETSU itself. As a senior in high school, my dad said, "You're going to go to college, son, you're on your own." So I shared that story with my senior high school English teacher, and he said, why don't you go and work for a year, save some money, and then transfer up to ETSU in Johnson City, Tennessee. And so I did that. I got a job and went to school at night to a junior college and saved some money. At the end of that year, I had $3,000 saved. That $3,000 was enough to get me through out-of-state tuition, books, food, lodging, everything for ETSU for 3 years. So that should tell you a little bit about how long ago it's been. Thankfully, even today, the young graduates from our various colleges at this university are going out and taking the message to other young men and women to come to ETSU. One other quick story I wanted to tell you that I thought was kind of interesting. I grew up in Florida. We had lots of warm weather, no winters, certainly no change of seasons. So I had this Norman Rockwell idea that I would come up here and visit the university. And so I got a cheap airline ticket on Thanksgiving weekend. I took Friday off and flew up to Johnson City. And I thought I would find full blazing glory of leaves on trees and a fall scene that I hadn't experienced as a child. And additionally, I expected to see many students on campus that would be willing to tell me all about their experience at ETSU. Unfortunately, it didn't quite turn out that way. I arrived on Thanksgiving night and stayed at the John Sevier Hotel. The next morning, I went downstairs to the room clerk, and he said, I said, "How far to the university?" He goes, "That's a short walk." So I grabbed my suitcase. There were no backpacks back in those days. I grabbed my suitcase, started down Market Street, made a turn on Buffalo down to Walnut. I went past the Shamrock, Henry's. Most of you won't know about this. Scott's grocery store. Finally got down to the university, and I guess you can guess the rest. No beautiful fall leaves, no leaves at all. No students at all, in fact. All I saw was a deserted campus and a few squirrels running around. That was it. I went to several doors, tried to get in. They were all locked. The only place that I found open was the ETSU post office, which at that time was strategically located in the center of campus. And I went in, and there sat a sweet little lady named Manola Gentry, who ended up being a good friend of mine for years. Miss Gentry realized I was in trouble. She made a couple phone calls, and the assistant dean of men came over and found me a dorm room and called his nephew, and he showed me around the campus in the city of Johnson City. This somewhat shaky start for my first impression of the university became a lasting memory for people issuing a kind hand to a clearly naive young man at the time. Little did I know that I would spend the next 40 years as a student, alumni, graduate student, parent, sports fan, and ETSU advocate. It's been a great run. The rest, as you say, is history. I just wanted to say one thing. I know you all maybe have seen the bumper sticker. I'm not from the South, but I got here as fast as I could. Well, mine reads, I'm not from East Tennessee, but I got here as fast as I could, and I plan to stay around as long as the good Lord allows. Thank you very much.
The next Award of Honor recipient serves her community, which gives the opportunity for her to touch people's lives in a positive way. She graduated from East Tennessee State University in May 1972 with a degree in psychology. After graduation, she was employed in the field of personnel management at the Johnson City Press and later worked at Mountain Empire Bank in Johnson City. Wanting to change career paths, she obtained a real estate license in 1984 to sell properties in Tennessee. She worked for Northridge Properties until 1991 and was named Realtor of the Year in 1988. 2 years after the birth of her daughter, Lauren, she retired from full-time employment and began the most rewarding profession of her life, that of a do-gooder. She was invited to serve on the board of directors of Dawn of Hope Development Center in 1978. She continues to serve on their operations board today and is currently serving her second term as chairman. In 1991, she was asked to serve as founding chair of the Suzuki School of Music. Today, the organization provides music education to more than 80 students. Other organizations that have benefited from Jones's enthusiasm and energy include the Johnson City Historic Zoning Commission, the Executive Council of Niswonger Children's Hospital. She, along with her husband Tim, are both members of the ETSU Foundation and the Distinguished President's Trust. Please join me in welcoming Award of Honor recipient Valda Hicks Jones.
I need these too, Charlie. I've even got lights on mine, but my children made me promise I would not turn them on. I was not planning on telling this story, but when we've been talking about the reunions and so forth, I realized this would be my 40th reunion, from graduating in 1972. And when I was thinking about this award, I recall how hard my sweet mother worked to make me a whole new wardrobe to start ETSU with, and it was skirts only at that point in time, and we wore heels and hose. Don't want to embarrass my children, but by the time I graduated, and it was not me, young ladies were wearing blue jeans with holes in them, rarely shoes, and no bras. So it was a definite time of change, and my mother and father would not have let me probably go to class in a pair of blue jeans. I'm so very honored and flattered to have been selected for this recognition. I was greatly surprised when Dr. Manahan called to tell Tim and I about the award. It was actually on speakerphone. I was driving the car around the Cumberland Plateau, passing two 18-wheelers, which is not my forte, so I did well to keep it in the road. Since I had not been gainfully employed in over 20 years, I was kind of stunned, and it took me a while to figure out that I was receiving it because of my volunteer efforts in the community. You've already shared most of those, with the group, and I was so proud to be here last night for the Dawn of Hope Luau. Carol Sloan and I worked very hard 10, 12 years ago to raise $1 million to move Dawn of Hope into Stratton School. And I can recall Carol and I sat together last night, and we looked around the room. It was packed, and the hallway was packed. And we raised $61,000 last night. And Carol and I said, "Can you believe this?" And I said, "Well, you need to get up and do a little hula on the tables here, because when we started this effort 10, 12 years ago, some people knew what Dawn of Hope was, but very few people did. And Carol said, what we've got to do, Valda, is educate, 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 and make this community know what Dawn of Hope is. And by golly, they know now. Thank you, Carol. I would be remiss if I did not give credit to my parents, Roland and Axie Hicks, who gave me the opportunity to attend ETSU. Neither of them went to college. They gave their life at that time to World War II efforts. They taught me that I was capable of living my dreams if I gave the effort to strive for them. ETSU was a springboard into my adult life and has played a central role in the lives of both Tim and I over the past years, and we look forward to that relationship for many years to come. I would like to allow me to introduce my family and friends that join me tonight. My sister, who has known me longer than anyone, and I'm not sure she really liked me for the first few years, Jean Fowler and her husband, Dan. Her two daughters, Angie Reed and Wendy Carter. Our dear friends, Charles and Nona Stegall. Carol Sloan, whom I received my master's degree in philanthropy from, and her husband, Dr. Pat Sloan. Kristen Moore, daughter Lauren's best friend for years, and she has graciously given me the opportunity to be her second mother. Now the hard part. The rock of our family, my beloved Tim, whom I've had the blessing of sharing every day for the past 28 years with. He brought 4 beautiful children into my life, and they have filled it with much joy. I could have passed on some of the teenage years, though. I'd had a hall pass. They have blessed us with the most perfect, remarkable, fabulous 9 grandchildren in the world. Derby Jones, Catherine Jones, Aaron Jones-Ross. Courtney Jones couldn't be here. It was Phil Day in Memphis today. I'm so happy that you all are here to share this with me. You mean the world to me. And last but not least is my little rock. I say, sorry. Sometimes I feel like these days I'm the big rock, and I've got a little rock, and I've got all sizes of rocks in between. My husband is battling cancer, as most of you know, and it's been a difficult couple of years. So couldn't do it without them and the friendship of a lot of people in this room. In closing, I would like to share with you a quotation of Helen Keller. It sums up the manner in which I've tried to live my life. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or touched. They must be felt with the heart. And to close, most importantly, I want to thank our God for our many blessings. Thank you so much.
Our final Award of Honor recipient stays extremely busy, especially around April 15th of tax season each year. She earned her degree in mathematics from ETSU in 1968 and then completed her master's degree in mathematics from the University of Illinois, where she also began taking accounting courses. She later qualified as a certified public accountant. After becoming a CPA, her first job was at a part-time CPA in Champaign, Illinois, with the Clifton Gunderson firm. After moving to Ohio, she began a successful career with Groner, Boyle, and Quillen, now known as GBQ Partners, LLC, the largest locally owned CPA firm in Columbus. She became a full equity partner and also the first female partner at GBQ in 1986. For the majority of her time at GBQ, she also was the only female partner. Although now retired from public accounting, she continues to be a licensed CPA in the state of Ohio. Retirement has not slowed her down. She is currently involved with the Upper Arlington Lutheran Church, where she is the past chair of the Audit Committee and past chair of the board of Hilltop Christian Community Development Corporation. She also served on the board of directors for Goodwill Columbus for 15 years. She recently began her third term on the Upper Arlington Board of Tax Appeals. Join me in congratulating the 2012 Award of Honor recipient, Mrs. Kathy Peters Nunemaker.
Thank you very much. I will say that I was really surprised when Bob Plummer called, and I happened to be at home when he called the first time. Lots of times I'm not. And I thought maybe he'd called the wrong person because so many people do so much. And I don't really feel, especially being here tonight and listening to all the accomplishments of all the folks that are here, that I do very much. But I do want to thank some people. It's been maybe a few years ago. I mean, I grew up in Elizabethton, and First Baptist Church, we were there every time they opened the door. The Peters girls, three of us are here tonight. We have two other sisters who could not make it. But so we read the Bible a lot. But a few years ago at our church in Ohio, we went through the New Testament, and I hadn't really gone through the New Testament as a study. We took a whole year just going through the New Testament, and it seemed to me that every other word I read back when we got into Paul's letters was he was unhappy with people because they were not thankful. And I am so thankful for so many things in my life, beginning with my family and the Peters girls, we were known as, all five of us girls, no brothers. So always supportive. In our family, it was always assumed that we would succeed at whatever we did. And a lot of people don't have that. There's an assumption that they're going to fail. But it was just assumed that if we did it, it was going to turn out just fine. My husband, who's here with me tonight, Lawrence, and our children, three grandchildren, we've all supported each other in everything that we have done. But then I reach back to First Baptist Church, Elizabethton, and people that aren't here tonight. One person I think a lot of people here would maybe know of, the Willett family. Two of the Willett's sons graduated from East Tennessee State, one from the medical school in Memphis before East Tennessee State had a medical school. But Dr. Jim Willett, Marjorie Nell Cardwell, whom a lot of people here know, wonderful woman, wonderful families they gave of their time, their selves. They were Jesus to us in Elizabethton. And I'm grateful. But then when I came to East Tennessee State, Mr. Fred Whitty, raise your hand if you know Fred or know who he is. He's here at our table tonight. He is a wonderful man. He was the Baptist Student Union Director when my oldest sister, Pat, who graduated 10 years ahead of me from East Tennessee State, he was here, how many years were you here, Fred? 35 years as a Baptist Student Union Director. Wonderful man. And two other people who are gone. Someone mentioned, I think, Sidney Gilbreth. But I had the privilege to work for 3 years for his wife. And she was an amazing woman. And I was so naive, so green, I guess, Elizabethton, Tennessee hick, didn't know that things would happen to me that were really good things, and she was really in the background. And I didn't know that she was there. And then I also worked for Dean Ross. And same thing, something would come my way, and I would realize later one of those two women had been involved in that. And so lots of good things here. When I moved to Columbus, I realized after I'd been there a while that we learned as much down here at East Tennessee State as they learn at Ohio State. So, and I'm married to a Buckeye. So East Tennesseans can hold their own with the big boys up in Columbus. So I want to thank you and thank all the people at East Tennessee State, the Fred Whittys, the Ella Rosses, the people that looked out for students and went out of their way to make it a personal place and not just an institution. Thank you.
I will now ask Mr. Jeffrey C. Taylor, the President-elect of the ETSU National Alumni Association, to come forward and present our outstanding alumni.
The task of choosing outstanding alumni is most difficult each year, as you might imagine. We are blessed with so many whom, through their achievement, service, bring pride to their alma mater. We're happy to present two of our graduates who have excelled in their careers as well as their personal achievements tonight. The outstanding alumni was born in Washington County, Tennessee, and is a graduate of Washington College Academy. She descends from early Jonesboro residents through her father and two Mayflower families through her mother. She received an undergraduate degree in English from East Tennessee State University in 1969 and a master's degree in 1980. Following graduation, she worked briefly in Florida and then began a career at Eastman Chemical Company, where she retired in 2001. Her concern for others is a core value she holds dear. It has helped to shape her personal and professional life, as well as the philanthropic endeavors she is engaged in for the people of her community. She is a graduate of Leadership Kingsport and later served as chair of the Leadership Kingsport Council. She was chair of Clean Kingsport at the time of the group's first National Award for Excellence. She also served as Budget and Allocations co-chair for the United Way of Greater Kingsport, vice president of the Kingsport Chamber of Commerce, Girls Incorporated Board of Directors, and was one of the implementers of the original committee of 100 fundraising concept at Kingsport Girls Incorporated organization. She volunteered for the Kingsport Fun Fest Executive Committee, along with Sharon Barger and her husband, Powell Barger, who was a well-known ETSU alumni, and chairman of Pals Incorporated. The trio organized the first ever Taste of Tri-Cities, which is a premier Fun Fest event which many of you are familiar with. She was president of Kingsport Junior Women's Club, named JC's Outstanding Young Woman of the Year, received the honorarium for women in industry. She attended the Center for Creative Leadership in Greensboro, North Carolina. She and her husband, Roland, established and endowed the Joanna Slimmons Scholarship in Nursing in honor of her late mother. The couple are strong supporters of the Roan Scholars Leadership Program and have served on the Roan Scholars Selection Committee. Both have participated in the President's Classroom, and both are members of the ETSU Foundation and Distinguished President's Trust. She also serves on the ETSU Scholarship Advisory Council and the ETSU Foundation Board of Directors. I don't think there's anything with ETSU she has not done. In 2011, the couple received the Tennessee Board of Regents Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Philanthropy. Please join me in applauding this outstanding alumni's accomplishments and dedication to ETSU. It is with great pleasure that I present to you outstanding alumna of 2012, Ms. Sharon Slimmons Bowles.
I got an email this morning from a dear friend who couldn't be here tonight, and she gave me this advice: keep it good enough to listen to and quick enough to get the people home. So if I did okay, you can let Carol Transu know that I followed her advice. President and Ms. Nolan, Mrs. Culp, what an honor to have you at our table. Thank you for being here. Faculty, staff, alumni, I sincerely appreciate this wonderful honor. Roland and I are proud to be associated with the university, both as supporters and as residents who appreciate the business, cultural, and economic advantages this university brings to our community. The lives of talented business owners and entrepreneurs we've heard from tonight are a testament to the important role that state-supported universities play in the economic success of this country. The people recognized by this Alumni Association have met millions of dollars in payroll. They've contributed to the quality of life in this region, and they are role models for ETSU graduates. In large part, this university exists because of the dreams of one entrepreneurial man 100 years ago. But it's flourished because of the forward-thinking men and women who also had big dreams. One dreamed of a college of medicine. Another dreamed a college of public health. Another dreamed a school of pharmacy. A Johnson City man dreamed about the increased emphasis for performing arts and established the Mary B. Martin School in honor of his late wife. When somebody learned about a sinkhole out in Gray that's since become a world-known fossil site, a dreamer thought about the Center of Excellence in Paleontology. And God bless him, when Dr. Fred Alsop, along with a group of model train enthusiasts, dreamed about the George Carter Railroad Museum, a treasure for our area. But not even Mr. Carter would have dreamed about our outstanding music department and the many, many top-quality performances they offer our community. Excellent work by many talented people, both the professors and the students, with outstanding supporters like Mr. and Ms. Powell. But I doubt that even Mr. George Carter would have imagined the first ever degree in bluegrass and old-time and country music. But nevertheless, and even now, new dreamers await, and the challenges are great. Thank you.
The second outstanding alumnus has truly an ETSU story. As a boyhood, he spent his boyhood to adulthood on the ETSU campus. He was an elementary and secondary student at the training school, known to us now as the University School. He was the only one of his siblings to graduate from high school or college. His parents owned and operated a small restaurant and hotel in Johnson City. They had a farm which he worked. He loves to tell the story that he spotted his future wife, Nellie, one day while he was bringing a mule-drawn wagon load of pumpkins to town. He was instantly smitten. The couple married as teenagers. She worked in a local bank. He started his high school education at East Tennessee State College. His education at ETSU was interrupted by service in the United States Navy, where he was stationed in the Pacific. After serving the nation and being honorably discharged, he returned to ETSC to complete his education, receiving his undergraduate degree in 1960. After graduation, he worked for 25 years with the Social Security Administration. During that time, the couple built and sold spec homes. The profits from the sale of the homes, well, that sounds unusual these days, doesn't it? The profit from the sale of homes were invested in rental apartments, warehouses, and land. After a few years, they started a mortgage company and were able to offer financing to the purchasers of the properties. The couple also managed several commercial properties in the Jacksonville and Fort Pierce areas, which they owned. Together, they also ran 2 car wash businesses for 19 years, which proved to be financially rewarding to them. In addition, they developed Park Ridge, a manufactured home community in Orange Park, Florida, which is managed today by their son, Jim Jr. He is always quick to give credit to his wife for the couple's business successes. Sadly, Ms. Brinkley passed away in March 2009, yet her wonderful legacy lives on in a very special and generous way at ETSU through a gift to the ETSU Foundation. In their estate planning, both thought the perfect thing for them to do would be to encourage future ETSU students with scholarship opportunities. He is serving as a member of the Board of Directors of the ETSU Foundation and has been an annual loyal supporter for the Challenge 2000 Scholarship Endowment. He is a familiar face in the crowd of ETSU fans who support the Buccaneer Athletics, which makes our AD very happy, when the teams are in the Jacksonville area. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to present to you the Outstanding Alumnus Award to Mr. James B. Brinkley.
I think it's the first medal I ever won. It was certainly a surprise for me to be notified that I had received this recognition. And I want to thank everyone who was responsible for this. I particularly want to thank Robert Plummer, the Executive Director of the Alumni Association, Dr. Manahan and Jeff Anderson of the University Advancement. These 2 guys are real favorites of mine. They helped me a great deal in developing our estate plan. I'd like to also thank General Hyatt, President of the Alumni Association, Mr. Gary Poore of the Honors Awards and Nominations, and certainly thank very much President Nolte. I'm flattered and at the same time humbled to receive this recognition.
and to have my name added to the list of outstanding people who have received this in the past. Lost my place here. As many of you know, my deceased wife and I, through our estate planning, are establishing a perpetual scholarship fund. And this is hopefully going to help students to get a college education who may not otherwise be able to get it if they didn't have some assistance. I'd like to encourage those of you who are here tonight to remember the university in your estate planning as time goes on. I can say from my past experience that education is a key to a better life and more prosperity. It certainly meant a lot for me to get a degree from the university. Thanks again for everyone that's been involved in this.
At this time, I'd like to call our fearless leader, Lieutenant, I don't know if I promoted you or demoted you, Lieutenant General Ron Haidt, back to the podium for the conclusion of our program.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Before we conclude tonight, I think we all owe a big round of applause to all these distinguished awardees tonight. Great job. Also, I think we owe a round of applause and a thank you to the Millennium Center, the chef, and the staff that made this meal so great tonight. In keeping with our long-standing tradition associated with this annual awards program, we will now sing the ETSU alma mater to close our program. And I'll call on a retired University Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Norman Stout, a member of the class of 1952, to lead us in the singing. He will be accompanied by Dr. Rush, and you'll find the words on the back of your program. Dr. Stout.
Stand with us for two stanzas with enthusiasm, please. In the shadow of the mountains, from the skies of blue, stands our dear old alma mater, glorious to view. Sound the chorus, speeding onward, thee will never fail.
Thanks again to everyone for attending tonight. Have a safe trip home.